I was locked in the apartment. No phone. No keys. No way to leave. It didn't happen suddenly. It started gradually. First came the shouting. Then the restrictions. Then control. I was told where I could go, who I could talk to, who I could call. If I didn't obey, there were scandals. I tolerated it for a long time. Because it was my family. That day he was angry from the morning. Something didn't please him. He was looking for a reason. And he found one. He said I was speaking to him disrespectfully. That I didn't respect him. He started shouting. I stayed silent. I already knew that any word would make it worse. He demanded the phone. Said I was complaining too much to someone. I gave it to him. He checked calls and messages. He still didn't like something. He said, "You are not going anywhere today." I thought it was just words. But he took the keys, got dressed, left, and locked the door from the outside. I heard the key turn. I was alone. At first, I stood in the hallway and looked at the door. I couldn't believe it was real. I expected him to return in a minute. He didn't. I went to the kitchen, then to the room, then back to the door. I tried to open it, impossible. There was no phone. Not even an old button phone. Nothing. I went to the window. It wasn't the first floor. Shouting was scary. I was afraid it would get worse when he came back. I sat down. Hour after hour passed. I needed the bathroom, food, water. But most of all, I wanted it to end. I thought, why? I hadn't done anything. A few hours later, panic set in. I walked around the apartment. I looked for any way to call. Nothing. I listened to every sound in the hallway. Footsteps. Elevator. Neighbor doors. I ran to the door every time. Not for me. I imagined what would happen when he returned. What mood he would be in. Would he shout again? Or worse? I realized I was not a person here. I was an object. When it got dark, it got even scarier. The apartment seemed smaller. I didn't turn on the lights for a long time. I just sat. He returned late. Opened the door calmly. As if nothing had happened. He said, "Did you think?" I didn't immediately understand what he meant. Then he said I would obey now. Otherwise, it would be the same again. I nodded. I was afraid he would leave again and lock me again. He didn't give back the phone immediately. He said he would check it now. If I told anyone, it would be worse. I stayed silent. I lay down to sleep, but didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and realized tomorrow could happen again. And it did. A few days later, something else upset him. Shouting again. Accusations again. And again he took the phone and the keys. This time I cried. I begged him not to do it. I said I was scared. He didn't care. The door closed again. I started losing track of time. I didn't know what hour it was. I waited. I tried to knock on the radiators. Quietly. Hoping someone would hear. But no one came. I drank tap water. Hardly ate. My throat was tight. I thought if something happened to me, no one would find out. When he returned, I was already sitting by the door. He talked again about respect. That I should be grateful. That without him, I was nothing. I listened and realized this could never end. I began to fear the morning. Because in the morning, he could decide to punish me. I stopped calling friends. Stopped going out unnecessarily. I tried to be quiet, invisible. But it didn't help. One day, he locked me in for the whole day. Without warning. I woke up, he was already gone. The phone too. I went to the door and understood immediately. I sat on the floor. I didn't cry anymore. I just sat. I remembered my life. Work. People. And I couldn't believe it had come to this. When he returned, I said I would leave. He laughed. Said, "Where would you go?" I didn't know where. But I knew if I stayed, one day I simply wouldn't survive. I started looking for help. Quietly. Carefully. When he was in a good mood, I asked for a phone and called those I trusted. Briefly. Without details. No one believed me at first. Because outwardly, he seemed normal. At home, he locked the door. Over time, I managed to leave. Not easily. With a scandal. With threats. But I left. And now, whenever I hear someone turn a key in a door, I tense up. Because I remember what it's like to be locked in my own home with no right to even make a call.